ushered to a stage by cameras cocked and pointed. The exchange of detainees between Israel and Hamas is as much a performance as it is a process. An estimated 20,000 Hamas fighters have been killed in this conflict. Although Hamas have been weakened, here their Al-Qassam brigade want to show they still stand. The 3 men they parade were taken hostage on October 7. This is Eli Sharabi, captured at his kibbutz after Hamas fighters arrived. Eli Sharabi's wife Liane and daughters Noya and Yael were killed in the attack. His remaining family watched his release. In his return to Israel, he was reunited with his sister and mother, but finally learnt of his wife and children's fate. There is also concern about Eli Sharabi's change in appearance. This was him before capture, and this is him since.
We're very happy that Eli came out. We are sad to see the situation, how they look. They look very hungry. They look like they suffered a lot.
This is the before and after of Ohad Ben-Ami and Or Levy, who were also released today. But the concerns over the conditions in captivity have been shared across the exchange. As the 3 Israeli men held in Gaza returned to Israel, 183 Palestinians headed in the opposite direction. The majority on board these buses had been detained by Israel since October 7, but others had been held for decades.
My brother was sentenced to life. We didn't see him for 25 years and we weren't expecting his release. I still can't believe my brother is amongst us. May God empty all the prisons.
There are currently thousands of Palestinians held without a charge or being convicted without an open trial. But those released also include those alleged to be behind fatal attacks in Israel. Iyad Abu Shakidim was given 18 life terms for suicide attacks after Israel killed Hamas leaders in 2004.
Today you can announce that I am reborn. I am reborn. The prisoners are suffering a lot. They are being abused.
But not all those released have any convictions. Those freed now look far thinner than their loved ones remember. So far, at least 6 were in need of hospital care, said the Palestinian Red Crescent.
The conditions were very bad. No food, no water, no medicine. We were in a torture centre for 24 hours. I spent 40 days handcuffed and blindfolded, and I could not go to the bathroom or anywhere else. There was no food. I entered prison at 100 kilos and left at 58.
Under this stage of the ceasefire, 33 Israelis and up to 2,000 Palestinians are expected to be freed. But the agreement is fragile, and both sides are accusing the other of non-compliance. Now with President Trump announcing his plans to annex Gaza and move out Palestinians, the end game is now unclear, with the lives of hostages still in the balance.
Well, as you heard there, one of the hostages released by Hamas earlier is Eli Sharabi. His British-born wife, Liane, and 2 teenage daughters were killed on October 7th in Kibbutz Be'eri when Eli was taken hostage. Earlier, I spoke to Liane's brother, Steve, who lives in South Wales, and began by asking him how he felt after his brother-in-law's release.
It was only yesterday afternoon we found out that he was being released, and that meant that he was alive. So the joy and relief of seeing that he was alive through our TV screen was the first emotion, but that was quickly overtaken by the shock and distress about the condition that he's clearly in. He looks so different from the Eli that we know and love, so emaciated and drawn. So our relief at the fact that he was able to apparently walk unaided and independently was quickly replaced by the horror of how he looked facially and the fact that the clothes are hanging off of what is clearly an emaciated body.
So you were quite shocked then by his appearance, Steve?
Absolutely. I mean, he's a very happy, smiley man normally, and of course I wouldn't expect him to be smiling under these conditions, but it was the light has gone from his eyes. You could see the dark rings around his eyes, his drawn cheeks, the emaciated condition of his entire body. But he looked confused, distressed, disoriented, and I think that was the most striking thing about it.
And you have told us previously that not only did you not know whether he was alive or dead, But if he was alive, you didn't know if Ellie knew about his wife and daughters being killed. And were you trying to work out in those images today if Ellie knew what had happened to his family?
I think he looked so distressed and disoriented. It's difficult to know what, if anything, was going through his mind at that stage. What I do know is that he is a family man at the very heart of everything he does, and so I have absolutely no doubt that if he didn't know that Leanne and the girls had been killed, the very first question he will have asked when he got into that Red Cross vehicle will have been, "Are Leanne and the girls okay? Are they waiting for me?" I think part of our distress is that he'll have had that news broken to him by a stranger in the back of a jeep on Gazan soil before he's even been fully released.
And he has now been reunited with his own mother and sister. Have you seen those images? And he's been able at least to be with his family today.
Yes, I've seen the same pictures. I think that everyone else has seen. It's very strictly controlled what goes on in the hospital wing, and rightly so. Even when he's in the arms of his mother and his sister, you can see the fear and the confusion on his face. It's going to be a very, very long road to recovery for him, but one that I know his Israeli family and his British family are fully prepared to help him with.
How are your mum and dad feeling today?
Very shaken. I mean, they're both 80 years old. The whole last 15 months has been a living nightmare for them. They've lost their only daughter. They've lost their two granddaughters, and obviously they've been living every moment of this, as we all have, not knowing what Ellie's fate was. And they share my concerns about the condition that he's in and how that's going to impact on him physically and emotionally for the rest of his days.
I think we spoke to you after 180 or so days of his captivity. At that point, you were calling on the UK and Israeli governments to do more. Do you feel like he could have been released sooner?
I think it is a matter of undisputed fact that the deal that ultimately brought this 33 hostage release to the table is the same one that was certainly on the table in May of last year, and according to some reports, in December of 2023. So it's long been my position, and it remains my position, that the failure to get a deal agreed a long time ago is an abject failure of international diplomacy. It's quite clear that this deal that has finally been done could have been done months ago, which would have saved the lives of many hostages, of many innocent Gazans, and would have ended the torture of the hostage family as much sooner than it has been.
Seeing Ellie released today must make you think of his wife, your sister, and her two children who were killed on October the 7th.
Yes, I mean, anytime anything big happens in the whole Israel-Gaza conflict over the last 15 months, it immediately takes you back to that morning of the 7th of October 2023. Ellie's release uncorks all of those feelings once again. We've very keenly felt the loss of my sister and nieces every day since it happened. And we know now that Ellie is going to be sharing in that sadness, that sorrow, that torture that we've all been feeling for so long.
And what do you think you'll say to Ellie when you finally get a chance to meet him again?
I think I just want him to know that we're still here for him. Obviously, Leanne and the girls have gone, but their death does not bring to an end the relationship with his British family. He remains an integral part of our family, and we of his. So I just want him to know that we will continue to always be there for him and support him in whatever way we can. I just want to let him know that we've missed him, that we love him, and that we will always be there for him.
Steve Brisley, thank you ever so much for talking to us.
Thank you.